Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from, wherever you're watching from. We're again at another deadline stream, Gameweek 6. They're coming up fast, furious, and I can't believe it. We're already in September as well. It's flying through, isn't it? First of all, just want to say sorry to anybody that was looking out for a team selection video. I ran out of time, essentially, to record that. So hopefully you enjoyed the other videos this week, but with fast turnarounds, it is with other commitments as well. It's a little bit difficult to fully get everything up and running. But thanks for tuning in today. So let's have a look at the team. I haven't done obviously a team selection, but ultimately this is as good as almost, right? So a couple of transfers that I'm thinking about really is Rodrigo to Ward-Prowse and Rodrigo to Zaha. Potentially with the money that I have in the bank, I'm thinking of taking a -4 and going for Plange to Isak as well. As I think I do like the look of Newcastle's fixtures, to be honest. They were all three of these individuals were actually in the watch list video if you check that out. But I think at the moment I'm leaning towards Ward-Prowse and Isak. I think I like Southampton's fixtures. It's a bit of a short-term punt, but I think I'm pretty set on the Game Week 9 wildcard. I don't see how else to kind of get out of a lot of teams that have got a sort of bit of a fixture swing, i.e. Arsenal and Liverpool and so on. So I don't see a way of being able to transfer through it. So I think that's why I'm leaning more towards Ward-Prowse other than Zaha, even though he is kind of lower on all the different stats, right? But armband currently on Salah as well. Not sure if I'm going to be swapping that, to be honest. I think ultimately it's very, very close, right, between Haaland and him. But I just think that Everton, they're looking very, very disappointing from a defensive point of view. So yeah, ultimately I just think that he can punish Everton this week. And Haaland might be benched. Pep has said that he's 22, he recovers fast, so it's not necessarily a 100% benching like we first anticipated. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. Hopefully another green arrow. We're at 1.4 million now, so slowly but steadily increasing up those ranks. So yeah, should be good. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else really I'm considering in terms of transfers. I could go sideways to another Leeds asset potentially. I could go Rodrigo to Harrison or Aronson, but I'm not so sure about that. I think, like I say, I'm more happy to take maybe a short-term punt on someone like Ward-Prowse, potentially with Zaha as well. Of course, with what he's showcased, it does look good. Not sure if you're still watching Penguin, but morning if you are, mate. Hi, Patrick, mate. Yeah, so, I mean, another potential kind of upside of taking a hit this week and going for these double transfers is that I'm not too sure that Kyle Walker plays. I think Ake and someone else is back from injury. I can't remember. But anyway, Ake is definitely back from injury. So from a defensive point of view, does that mean that Walker gets the rest between now and the Champions League? I don't know. He's played 90 minutes every game so far. So I feel like I need cover. Gabriel against United, I see us winning that game, to be honest. So I feel like he's not going to be able to keep a clean sheet. So I think Rodrigo and Plange out as the kind of two weakest areas of my team at the moment. I think maybe that makes sense, but we will see over the course of the hour. How's your team shaping up anyway, Patrick? You've got 2 free transfers, right? Because I think, was it you that commented that you'd missed the news on Reece James, and you ended up, or just missed the deadline in general? So you've got 2 now, right? Yeah, and that's kind of my thinking as well, mate. To be honest, I'm not sure about but I'm not sure about just leaving Rodrigo or kind of Plange he's essentially fodder anyway. He wouldn't have played regardless of whether he went on loan or not. So that red flag is kind of irrelevant. But ultimately, I agree with you. I think with the rotation and stuff with midweek, it looks more and more likely that we need to have cover, right? So that's why I'm thinking of the hit this week. It's the first of the season, right? Game week 6. I'm really happy with that. I haven't taken one this season yet. So, morning, Lookman, mate. How you doing? Yes, I remember now. Zinchenko with Saliba, so 1 transfer. Yeah, fair enough. And Sterling for Rodrigo. That sounds like a good move, to be honest. I mean, again, West Ham, Fulham and Liverpool, I think, in the next 3. Are you looking at a Game Week 9 wild card as well? Or is that just, a kind of a week-by-week thing for you? Because like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were in the stream already, but I just feel like we're going more and more towards favouring that week for a wild card. For me personally, anyway, I don't know about your team, but I just think we need to jump off, Brighton players, Arsenal players, and so on. We can have 1 or 2, or 1 really is probably preferable. But I feel like there's better ways to attack the weeks with a Game Week 9 wildcard. What's your plans this week, Lookman? You got any transfers in mind, mate? What's your team shaping up like? Yes, mate, I agree that Zaha does look very good. He made it to obviously my watch list video. If you check that out, I think his stats are great. He loves a goal against Man United, so I don't really necessarily think that's a very, very difficult fixture. I would say, though, that he's got Brighton and Newcastle either side of us away. So at St James's Park and the Amex, I personally think Newcastle and Brighton have been very, very good defensively. So that's why I'm leaning kind of more towards no Zaha rather than for Zaha. But he's already proved so far against, maybe arguably tougher opponents, right? With the goal against Liverpool, for example. I think ultimately it's just a personal preference. I think his stats back up a decision on him. And if you're moving out someone like Rodrigo, I think it's definitely a move I'm considering as well. Yeah, Patrick, I understand, mate. I feel the same, and I've done that in previous seasons where I don't want to push the button just for the sake of pushing the button. But the more and more I look at the kind of the fixture run from 9 onwards, and especially with the international break, I just think if we have any problems occur in the teams, it's just looking, and we tend to have that, right? The international break does crop up with a couple of injuries or a few concerns here and there. So I think ultimately that's why I keep mentioning Game Week 9, as I think that makes the most sense. But again, like you, I think I'll see. The thing is, though, even if you had 2 Arsenal, right, and then 2 of other, you can transfer your way out of it. You could potentially navigate it, but the way that I kind of see this season, it's so different, right? The wild card can maybe be used a little bit more frivolously because ultimately we've got different blocks of the season in terms of game weeks because of the World Cup this year. We're able to kind of dissect a little, in terms of the break between now or between the start of the season to the start of the World Cup. We can use the wild card maybe aggressively and then of course almost reset our teams post World Cup again, which is something that's never happened in a season before, right? But it'd be interesting to see how it plays out, because I think it's been, I don't know if it's been announced or not, but I remember asking the question originally that I don't think price rises or price falls will happen during the World Cup, right? So we can't increase value in the team or do anything like that. But I'm not too sure if we can do anything other than just essentially transfer our players out, right? It's just an in, so it'd be a strange 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Yes, mate. I think Reece James definitely will play. To be honest, I just took he's got obviously a favourable fixture against Fulham after this West Ham match, but I don't see West Ham as a really good game for him. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it was a little bit too early to transfer him out. But I had the flexibility of the second free transfer. The irony, I suppose, is that I've chosen Gabriel, who I'm not playing this week, right? So it's kind of, I've lost that free transfer and I only gained 2 points for him. So he could do some damage to me, but I think he's a very good option still. So I agree. I think he'll be fit. Patrick's team then: Meslier, James, Robbo, Cancelo, Nico Williams, Sterling, Luis Diaz, Martinelli, Haaland, Kane and Tony. Very, very strong lineup there, mate. Yeah, I'm in camp Salah at the moment for the captaincy. Pep has come out though and said that Haaland is going to pretty much, at 22, he can recover quick enough, right? And on the back of 2 hat-tricks, I do feel like maybe I'm going against the grain here. But again, I felt that way last week, so I'm not 100% certain that that's not going to change by the deadline. I've pretty much across between, I think, when was it, as early as, so Tuesday was when the game week started, right? I think I left the captaincy armband on Haaland Tuesday. I think I moved it to Salah on Wednesday, then moved it back to Haaland by the end of the day, and I've only recently just switched it back to Salah yesterday. But again, it's I think both of them have great arguments for and against. Both playing very, very weak defensive sides, so I think we might even see a very similar score this week from both of them. Bucina, sorry if I've butchered your name there, but yeah, I agree. I think, I'm just leaning towards Salah a little bit more this week. I think Haaland, like we've said before multiple times on this channel, and you've probably seen across other content creators, even if Haaland gets 30 minutes of football, he can still do a lot of damage, right? So I still think he is a good captaincy option. I just think Salah is more nailed for 90 minutes in this game specifically, so that's why I'm leaning towards Salah. Exactly, Patrick. That's what happened last game, right? He literally swung 10 points for a lot of captainers for him. I probably would have been in the top million if that didn't happen, right? There's maybe not top million, maybe 1.2. I would have definitely gained another few 100,000 if he didn't get that last minute assist. The thing is, I think Salah has started slow in terms of points so far, right? But he hasn't started slow in terms of his statistics. He's still there. Like, those 2 chances he missed against Bournemouth are just, I don't want to use the word, but it's variance, right? Just any other game, he puts them away and he scores 20 points. So I just think it's such a big swing. Yeah, we're just talking about the captaincy now. So I think at the moment, I'm just leaning towards Salah because I just think he is more nailed for this week specifically. So my decision making for Haaland last week was that, based on Pep's original comments of he won't play every 3 days, I was anticipating that he would get benched this week, ready for the Champions League game, right? Because we know that what Pep wants to do with City, he wants to win that. So ultimately, I think that it makes more sense for him to be benched this week. So because of that, the decision making was, let's go with Haaland against Forest, because I think the upside could be massive, and it turned out to be the right decision. With Salah this week, though, he's not, I don't think, ever going to get rested. So ultimately, he, in my opinion, looks like the better option just this week, right? But I could be wrong. And transfer plans, they're on the right-hand side. So really, they're not plans as such. They're just kind of thoughts at the moment. All three of the players that are in that transfer thinking were in the watch list. Ward-Prowse, not really done anything yet, but I think their fixtures in the next at least 3 or 4 look quite good. So I think if I am going to go with that 100% wildcard, I like him as a short-term punt up until game week 9. Zaha is an option, but I've kind of mentioned it already in the stream, but his next fixtures are Newcastle away, then he plays Man United at home, which I can see a return in, and then he plays away at Brighton. And I think those away games are quite difficult. Both Newcastle and Brighton have been really good defensively, so I'll be interested to see what he does. But I still think he's a solid option. And then finally, it's Plange to Isak. So I'll be potentially taking a -4 there. Plange would probably come in. Isak would probably come in for Andreas. Rodrigo would probably come in. I'd swap him to Ward-Prowse or Zaha, and he'd probably take Saka's place, right? And I'd only have Jesus from an attacking point of view for Arsenal. So I think a -4 is a possibility, mate, for my transfers. Yeah, I mean, checking overall points for kind of players is a little bit, I don't know. It's hard to make the decision based on what they've done in previous weeks, just on points alone. Like, we can use it as a bit of a kind of metric, but 100%, I agree. Look, I think looking at other data points is very important. Things like XG, expected minutes as well, XGI in terms of involvement for assists, right? I think all of these stats make sense to dissect, because otherwise I probably would have transferred Salah out if I didn't look at what he was doing as his underlying numbers. If I was just taking overall points as a decision making metric, I don't think he would have stayed in a lot of people's teams, right? So yeah, you've got to look at everything, really. That's why I'm not sponsored by them, but that's why I use websites like Fantasy Football Scout, because Hub's got some good tools as well. There's so many free tools out there as well that we can use. It just depends how seriously you take FPL, right? If you want to analyze the data, it's out there and available if you want it. But I'm just going to compare Salah and Haaland in terms of stats. So yeah, I mean, Haaland hands down wins on XG, right? He's absolutely massive in terms of the statistics, but he's still, for me this week, I think he still plays less minutes, and I just think I'm going to this week go with the surefire 90-minute man in Salah, right? You wouldn't play Zaha before week 12. That's interesting. I mean, let me have a look at their fixtures real quickly, because that's the thing. I would probably think about bringing him in. I'm just going to go on the fixture ticker 1 second. I was thinking about bringing him in for a wild card. Again, he would maybe be someone to look at. But game week 9 is Chelsea, right? Then he plays Leeds, Leicester, Wolves, Everton, and so on. So I do like the Leeds fixture in 10. So potentially he comes in against Chelsea with a potential return in game week 9. And then, Palace are a side as well, by the way, that don't have midweek congestion. So I think ultimately for me, game week 9 is a good point again. I know I keep going back to this, but it's because we can target teams that don't necessarily have midweek fixtures, like Fulham, Mitrovic, for example, right? You can target Crystal Palace. You can go with Zaha, Eze, someone like that. Thoughts on McAllister and Gibb White? Interesting picks, to be honest. I don't necessarily think they're very good FPL assets. McAllister, I mean, he is on penalties, so he could be a kind of differential pick, right? I mean, Brighton's fixtures are pretty good for the next few, so he's an alternative to Gross. If you think that Brighton are going to win more penalties, then McAllister, I guess, is an option. Gibbs White, I'm not so sure about, to be honest. I think Forest's fixtures look good, but he hasn't really shown anything, right, from an FPL point of view. So I think it's a bit of a... They're both differential picks. Let's just, sign it off with that. So it's personal preference, bud. But I do like their fixtures. Martinelli or Rashford? Oh, that's a close call, mate. I think, let's have a look at... So we've got Crystal Palace and Leeds after Arsenal. And then Arsenal have got Everton and Brentford. I think Martinelli over Rashford. I don't necessarily think that... I think there's more likelihood that Rashford returns against Arsenal. But I think there's more likelihood that Martinelli returns against Everton and Brentford versus United at Palace and Leeds. That's kind of my logic. That's if you're going for a pick or that transfer for 2 to 3 weeks, right? That's how I would look at it, not just this week in isolation. Sorry, I'm just looking at Ward-Prowse versus Zaha in terms of a comparison. Obviously, I'd put them both in the watch list, so I know their statistics to some degree, but I'm just having a look again. So the thing is, I do like the fact that Ward-Prowse is on so many more set pieces. The only issue I've got with going him is that just at the moment, Southampton haven't shown much in front of goal. So even if Ward-Prowse produces a bunch, they haven't got the likes of Danny Ings anymore, right, putting it away. Che Adams looked pretty good, actually, against United, to be honest. He looked a little bit lively, but that's my only concern with him. But being on penalties, direct free kicks, both side corners, I just feel like that's FPL points waiting to happen, right? Yeah, I agree. I think, Gameres could have been a good option, to be honest, especially with Isak joining, because Isak's more in the punt territory, whereas Gameres probably could have provided assists and goals, right, with the addition of Isak into the team. So you're right, it is a shame that he's not fit, but these things happen. I mean, I'm still... I can't. It's just one of them things that happen in FPL, right? But you use a transfer. It's one of your free ones. It's not a massive deal. I don't know if anybody took a hit for Rodrigo last week, but wow, like how unlucky were you if you went that route? Same for Dunk. I can't believe he scored an own goal and people were bringing him in. I even mentioned on watch lists and the stream that I thought Estupiñán was probably the kind of more punt territory, but definitely a more of an upside pick. And then he goes and gets the assist, right? So interesting how things pan out. But that's just FPL, right? There is an element of luck. Captaincy choices and transfers to some degree do require some skill, right? But situations like that, bringing in Rodrigo other than, let's say, Harrison, or Rodrigo other than, I don't know, Zaha, for example. The swings are crazy sometimes. And that's exactly my thinking, Patrick. Like I've kind of the split between them is more because I've put Zaha into the consideration because of what he's already done, right? So form has definitely kind of swayed my decision on him as an option over fixtures. And that's the thing, right? Is it fixtures over form? Is it form over fixtures? And that's where I've landed, is that it's either one of those two by deadline. It's just whether I take the -4 for Isak. So I'm kind of looking at future planning as well, and it's just a little bit difficult to commit to a -4. But I do like the look of a stronger bench if I do it, because like you said, with the midweek fixtures coming up, once Champions League hits, I just think that now these next few weeks, this -4 could pay off over that time frame, right? What do you think about Southampton's end product, though? Like, if I go for Ward-Prowse, like I say, that's kind of my concern about what his numbers are showing. They're showing great expected assists, but he's not he's not delivering to anybody that I think is clinical enough. That's my only concern with him. And yeah, going back to the future transfers, right? So I would have Isak in against West Ham and Bournemouth up to game week 8 if I bring him in now, which I do like. I would also have Ward-Prowse in for Wolves this week, Brentford and Villa, which again look pretty solid. It allows me to essentially bench someone like Kyle Walker, for example, against Tottenham, who may be a bit of a risk post Champions League match. So I definitely think I'm leaning towards the -4 this week. Is Livia injured, is he? Let's have a look. Yeah. Muscle injury. Expected back 16th of October. Damn, he definitely would have been a good budget option, right? At some point maybe, but... Isak or Mitrovic. Me personally, I'd go with Isak, I think, as a punt. He's an easy move to Mitrovic game week 8. If you wanted to go down that road for a couple of weeks, Newcastle's fixtures look better than Mitro. If you want a full stat breakdown of both of them, mate, just go to my watch list video and check it out, because I've got both Isak and Mitrovic on that list, and all their statistics are there. I mean, of course, Isak is one game of data so far, so it's a little bit limited, but you'll see that I think his numbers are looking pretty good so far. No problem, mate. Hopefully it helps you, bud. Yeah, I'm looking at future planning, and I just think that a -4 looks like it's on the cards this week. I think I'd like to attack, even though, like I say, Isak's in that kind of punt territory. I do, and to be fair, so is Ward-Prowse. It's only for a couple of weeks. I'm kind of happy to do that. It does mean, though, that I am really committing to this wild card in game week 9, which is the only downside. But I hate City assets. Yeah, mate. It's just, this is the thing. I would never have Walker. I'm not a top player either, bud. I'm definitely no expert, right? My ranks are not, fantastic by any stretch of the imagination. I've only hit the top 100k once. I'm looking to try and reach top 50k. My kind of thinking were early doors with Walker, though, was because I felt like he was going to get guaranteed minutes and he would cover Cancelo's clean sheets, because I knew Cancelo was high owned. And of course, a lot of people went double City defence. So I was thinking, okay, let me try and fit them in. And because I went for 2.8 million mids, which did turn out to be a mistake, I've still been able to keep up with the pack to some degree because of good transfer choices at the right time and captaincy decisions. So I'm not too disheartened by it, but now we're getting to the point where midweek games cause a problem. So Walker 100% is now, like you say, a horrendous, not a horrendous asset, but a difficult asset to own, because I feel like he could potentially get benched today. This weekend. So I feel like that's why the bench options, as you mentioned at the beginning, I think that's where we need to kind of strengthen up a little bit, right? Just out of curiosity, though, Patrick, what's how many seasons have you played, and what are your ranks before? I could probably see in the mini league anyway, but okay, yeah, I'm just looking at your history now. So you've hit the top 100k as well, like me. 300k, 400k, million, 1.4. Okay. Not the worst in the world, mate, but that's the thing. Football, some of it, like we've said, even FPL, it contains a lot of luck. You can have good decision making, and that's just the only thing that we've got, really. It's about understanding why we make the decisions, isn't it? Morning, Tanoki. Yes, mate. If you haven't been up to speed with what's happened, Rodrigo dislocated his shoulder. So I'll just put the. I'll just show you the flag on. Show you the flag. Expected back 2nd of October. Right now, this is too far along for me, to be honest. I think that you've got 3 fixtures here that I can attack somebody else. So I just think that he's going to get sold as quick as he's come in for me, unfortunately. But these things happen, right? Time zone differences meant I didn't react to James out, and it ended up being a blessing because Andreas came on instead. Indeed, mate. I mentioned this in my breakdown video, right? I said that before, I think pre-subs on livefpl.net, I was at 1.2 million or something like that. And I think post subs, it moved to 1.3, 1.4. And I guarantee you that a lot of managers are in the same position as you that push that rank further down, right? Because 6 points is nothing to be sniffed at. No, I mean, why wasn't he transferred out? Oh, okay, sorry, I misunderstood. I just haven't transferred him out yet because he's in my. I suppose I've got 2 different options in my thinking in the next 20 minutes to decide on whether I want to go Ward-Prowse or Zaha. So Andreas more than likely isn't going to start. I'm thinking of a -4 from Plange to Isak because I've got the money to do these moves, and ultimately I wouldn't play Saka. I would keep Jesus as the attacking option for Arsenal against United, but I would probably bench Saka. So then that would be a lineup of Sanchez, Trent, Walker, Nico, Trippier, Gross, Zaha or Ward-Prowse here, Captain Salah, potentially no 4th midfielder, Haaland, Jesus and Isak if Plange was to transfer to him. So I'm definitely leaning towards that. I think Newcastle's fixtures look good. I think Southampton's fixtures look good. It's just the decision, over Ward-Prowse and Zaha is literally form over fixtures. Good luck, Patrick, mate. Thanks for tuning in, bud. How much in the bank? I've got 3.1 million, mate. So let me just show you what I can do. Where's this one? Right, let me just take these two out. So ultimately, I can go for both Zaha. I can't go to Isak though here, right? So that would mean no -4. I would only be able to go to Zaha. If I go Ward-Prowse though, I can do these moves. Now, the dead leg situation, I don't think that's going to stop him from playing, right? I think that 75%, Eddie Howe's not come out and said that he's a concern. He's not said that he's a guaranteed starter either, but I just think he's going to be. His fitness, obviously, here, look, he's only played 63 minutes there. He felt the leg go, which is why, and maybe Eddie Howe's just taking him off because he knows the fast turnaround is happening. But I think he's going to be quite good as an option. So ultimately, that's where we're looking. And I would still have 0.5 to play around for any swings over the coming days in terms of prices, but that's where we'll be looking. Now, in terms of the fixtures, like I say, I'd have Ward-Prowse for what I would say arguably very good fixtures in Wolves, Brentford and Villa. Potentially in Game Week 9, I wildcard. If I don't, then I've got him at Everton. City's a tricky fixture, which he can be benched or transferred out, and then continuing and all the way through here. Of course, we've got to use the wildcard by pretty much Game Week 16, right? So I don't think I would hold on for this long, but I like these fixtures. FPL Salad, thoughts on Haaland captain? I like it, mate. I think it's definitely a coin flip between Salah and him. I've personally gone for Salah this week. I think, last game week, should I say, so on Tuesday, my decision for Haaland was because I felt that he was going to be a kind of, a high chance of starting against Forest as opposed to Villa. I'm certain now, though, with Pep's press conference after back-to-back hat-tricks, how can you bench him, right? And I am worried about not captaining him. But then I was worried about not captaining Salah. So I just think we cover it by almost owning them to some degree. So I think I'm leaning towards Salah. Is Trossard over JWP a shout? I think he is. My only problem is, do I want two Brighton attackers? Do I want Pascal and Trossard? Probably not. That's the thing, right? If I am, to me personally, it looks like then, so these fixtures are good. Leicester, Bournemouth and Palace. I like the Bournemouth away fixture. Leicester at home as well. We know that they're not performing very well. Palace is maybe a little bit trickier. And then again, it's wildcard game week 9. I just think that in terms of finishing product, Trossard's only shown a little bit more than JWP. So I don't know. It's a good option. I mean, what I'll do is if I think we've got, if I go back to transfers, right? So if this was 100% going to be the move, then I've got essentially 7 million to play with, right? So any midfielder up to 7 million. And I think I'm just going to have to start breaking down some stats on them, yeah? Start Saliba or Pereira. I think Pereira, mate, to be honest. I think we're going to score against Arsenal. It's at Old Trafford. It's going to be one of the toughest fixtures I think that Arsenal have faced. That's not to say that they're not playing well, by the way. It's just I think that we're going to get something from that game. We're all worried about the... Yes, mate, we certainly are. It's every week, isn't it? But then I like it because last year, all it was constant, like, well, if you take the armband off Salah, you're going to lose rank. So it's just boring. There was so many weeks where there was no dynamic to the game. It was just put the armband on Salah. You might as well just, go AFK basically for 6 months and just leave your team as it was. It was I don't know. I just don't think it was very good last season. But this season is definitely a little bit more spicier, right? I agree as well, Tanoki. I think if you've got Nico Williams against Bournemouth, he's top of the XGI charts, right? So I think, well, not top. Of course, Trent and James are top, but in terms of those cheap options, I think he's a great option this week. I'm expecting good things from him this week. Where are we at? Right, 20 minutes. So I'm going to have a look quickly at Let's have a look at some comparisons. Right, where are my stats tables? So what did we say? 7 million. Let's try and filter. Can we filter out? No. So Bernardo Silva, for example, is potentially a great option at 7 million, right? The difficulty I have with owning a City asset going into Champions League fixtures next week is that just its rotation. City, literally. Grealish, I don't think he's got enough fitness really to be starting. Harvey Barnes, don't like Leicester as an attacking point of view. Coutinho, no. Odegaard, a doubt. So Ward-Prowse and Trossard between them are probably the best options. Could go for Sinisterra from Leeds. It's a bit of a sideways move. St Maximan, I think he's still injured. Martinelli, well, I don't like him against United, essentially. And the other two fixtures, possibly, but I've got Saka. Rashford in the same boat. There's lots of people here that I could go for, but out of the two of them, I think you're probably right, Tanaki, really. I think Trossard is only the only other consideration. But JWP, right, in terms of chances created, this is where it's maybe worrying or maybe a positive. He's fifth on the list in terms of chances. He's created 13. He's created 3 big chances. The difficulty is that no one in Southampton has put them away yet, right? I just think Che Adams looked good against United, so if he improves, then he could be on the end of a lot. I could be wrong, though. It's a bit of a punt, but that's where we're at. $15 minutes. I'll confirm transfers more than likely in the next, say, 5 minutes. I'll just some final thoughts and just having a look on Twitter as well, just to see if there's anything on Isak. So I don't really want to take a -4 if he's not starting, right? That'd be insanely stupid. I could do that. I don't really care about the price drop either, to be honest, if Rodrigo goes down again, because I can make that 0.1 elsewhere. I've got enough in the bank to be flexible. That is a potential option. Do you think bring in Isak, leave Rodrigo in the bench and play Isak instead of Saka? That would be how I'd probably play it. KDB or Salah? Salah, mate, all day long. I think KDB could do some damage against Villa. He didn't start against Forest, right? But I just think Salah's on penalties. I would just always lean towards that. Then get Martinelli next week. Yeah, I mean, if Everton, Brentford, good fixtures, to be honest, to attack. That would mean, though, no, I can't do that because I've already got 3 Arsenal. I've got Gabriel, Jesus and Saka, haven't I? So it could be a wait and see on Ward-Prowse even, right? It could be. Like, I know I keep mentioning him. I'm leaning towards him, right? Maybe it's just, I don't know, some kind of bias that I've got somewhere, but I could always do, so Brentford at home and Villa away, potentially 2 good fixtures. Yeah, I think, yeah, he's you know, ICT is even 30 out of 623. He's not too bad. He's producing a lot, and his direct free kicks and corners are really something to behold, to be honest. I think he's got great technique. Yeah, so Martinelli was never an option. Yeah, sorry, I mentioned him because of the data that I was looking at, right? The table that I had. Let me have a look here. Yeah, with 7 million to spend, ultimately that he's kind of one of the options around that price point. But yeah, I can't get to him. Football Manager brain keeps telling me, Gino. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, it's the eye test as well. I watch him, and his delivery is great. Like, there's something saying that he's a good option this week, and I just think I'm going to go with it because Zaha's the obvious choice. Zaha's the person that people are going to be bringing in because of what he's done already. And now that he's not flagged, I think people think Newcastle of old. They're thinking this is a great fixture to a target. It's at St James's Park, and I'm not being funny. I think Newcastle smash them, to be honest. They've got a brilliant squad at the moment. So I don't know. I'm really not sure about Zaha. I do like him as an option. It's just not necessarily for these 3 weeks. I think if you jumped on him 2 weeks ago, then you keep hold of him, right? You don't transfer him out, but transfer him in at this point seems just... It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem that I'm attacking the fixtures right. But anyway, let's make some transfers. Let's do it. I think that's where we're going, gents. I think that's where we're going. One last check on my my planner, just to make sure that we're not wasting it. So I would go, essentially next week, I would go a 3-4-3. So because I'm worried about Kyle Walker, this is another thing as well, by doing the 2 transfers, it gives me a bit more of a cover. I just feel like now that Ake is back and just pet roulette, all that business, I think he might be a bit of a risk. So take him out for Spurs. Then I have Trippier versus West Ham, Trent versus Wolves, Gabriel versus Everton, with Nico Williams versus Leeds as an option. I've then got Gross against Bournemouth, Saka against Everton, Salah against Wolves, Ward-Prowse against Brentford, and then Jesus against Everton, Haaland against Tottenham, and Isak against West Ham as a 3-4-3. And I do like that. And then going into game week 8, essentially I can just attack whoever I want. The fixtures look great for all the team. Jack Bridge, Salah or Haaland captain. I'm going to go Salah, mate. That's who's the armband's on for me. Yeah, Tanuki, I agree. I think Isak is both of these transfers are really punty. They really are. But I'm just so convinced about this game week 9 wildcard. I've kind of, maybe I'm backing myself into a corner a little bit. But I'm just looking at the fixtures, and it just doesn't make sense not to. There's just so many fixture swings happening for so many teams in 9 that I think it's the best option. Maybe you're right. Maybe we go for... Okay. We're going to confirm Isak, definitely. He's coming in, right? And then he comes in for Andreas for sure. We probably put Saka as the first option in terms of the bench as well. So that's how we're lining up. I guess then it's like I say, it's just Andreas versus Tottenham, Saka versus United, Gabriel versus United. Who do I want to play out of those 3 options? So as we're now considering, like you say, the one move separately, that's why I like JWP. Because I think Rodrigo ultimately he's not going to stay in the team now. By the time he gets fit, even if I left him there, Bamford's back. So he starts playing back in more of a deeper role, which is worse. What are we at? 10 minutes. All right. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes to confirm the -4, but let's update the transfers here. I need my... just a second. Right, transfers. that's where we're at. Ten minutes to deadline, guys. Just make sure that captain's on that right person. Bench order is all good. Refresh your screens, refresh your phones, all that good stuff. Make sure we're confident. So close. It really is so close. I think Andreas could maybe do something against Tottenham. That's what's swinging me, right? No, we haven't, but at Old Trafford against Arsenal, who, let's face it, they're a long-term rival of ours, right, in terms of success. I'm going to beg to differ, and I think that we're going to do some damage. I think we're going to do some damage to Arsenal. I think that this is the problem, that they've not really had, in my opinion, formidable enough opponents yet. This 5 out of 5 business, listen, I'm behind it. They're looking absolutely great. They're a phenomenal team now. Arteta's done very, very well. But I'm just sorry. I think when they come to Old Trafford, we're gonna do something. So I don't agree with Gabriel as a defensive option. And that's the thing, because I am a United fan, there is, of course, a bias against it. But it's not just that. Like, I don't have any United players in my team, right? So from an FPL perspective, I do try to, differentiate the supporting versus playing FPL. It's difficult at times, but... it was an absolute dream for me. When Bruno was smashing it, that was just an absolute winning combination, right? Captain him against Leeds, and just, oh mate, when you're scoring like 40 points or whatever just from one of your own players in the first game week, great stuff, mate. But he just hasn't shown the same form, right, since Ronaldo joined, so that's why. But that's the thing. Looking at this, there is actually no need. Now I've confirmed the Isak transfer, there is really no need for the -4. I've got 2 playing options in Saka and Gabriel. So I guess the decision now is, do I think that Ward-Prowse is going to score, let's say, at least 6 points? And I don't think he will. I think playing Saka, even if he blanks, he scores another 2 points. If he gets an attacking return, scores even better. So I think ultimately, I think I'm talking myself into it, to be honest. I think this makes more sense. Let me just refresh. Sorry, I was on a different screen. Yeah, so this, I feel like, doesn't warrant a -4. I've still got Andreas and Gabriel as playing options on the bench. If Walker gets benched, Andreas comes on anyway. And by Walker getting benched, I mean by Pep, not by me. Okay, I like it. I think we're locked. 5 minutes to decide, but I think I've talked myself out of the -4. It would have been my first one this season as well, but yeah. I think the longer I can hold out on that, the better. Four minutes to decide, guys. And Tanaka, yeah, mate, I think you did. But this is why this is why I'm enjoying making content this season, right? Because now it's like I'm talking about it out loud for kind of my own almost like diary of it, right? But I'm also having other viewpoints, and it's good. I absolutely love it. I think, you know, the engagement from the community has been great, and it's just, yeah, I think it's really helped my decision making this season. I don't think he's going to haul. I don't think he's got a haul in him. The thing for me, the biggest problem with JWP is that, yes, he's created a lot of chances, and I can go by that as like, okay, yeah, he's got great underlying stats. But isn't it more concerning that he hasn't scored more points then from creating all those chances than the fact that he hasn't scored? The fact that he has scored the points, right? I just feel like if there's no one on the end of his chances, then what's the point? That statistic is absolutely irrelevant, and that's what my decision making was going on, right? So it's good to talk out the thought process. Trishel, no mate, I'm going to captain Salah. I think Haaland plays, by the way, against Villa, but yeah, I think I'm in camp Salah today. And yeah, it's obviously the 12:30 kick-off. It's a local derby, mate. They're gonna. I just feel like, you know, after that 2-1 win against Newcastle, that he's going to be buzzing. He's going to be hungry, mate. And I just don't think Everton have showed anything defensively. But good luck if you've gone Haaland. It's a 50-50, really. I think last week was as well. So good luck if you've gone Haaland. Took a -4 this season for Saka to Martinelli and KDH to Rodrigo. Currently, it's still a net -2. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the reason why, like, if you tuned into previous videos or streams, then you'll know that my thoughts on Saka to Martinelli as a sideways move were always like, I'm just not sure about that. Because potentially Saka can do just as much damage as Martinelli. I know he didn't show it in terms of his form at the beginning. I still think he's a good option. But we'll see. Martinelli could absolutely, you know, he looked absolutely amazing. That half volley shot was a save and a half by Martinez. And I don't think Jesus has gone downhill. No, I just think that, you know, when you sit from an FPL perspective, if you isolate the 19 massive points that he scored, this is just variance. He was meant to score consistently over each week, so take that 19 point away and just think that he scored 6, 6, 6, 6 almost across all the weeks. Then I don't think he's lost at all. I think he looks great. Nico versus Neto. Nico, mate. Nico versus Neto for me, mate. All day long. I just think that Bournemouth at home fixture just smells, I don't know, of a goal for Nico. His XGI is insane for defenders. And Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth are just, you know, I know Solanke's back, but I just don't think they've got anything in them at the moment. You know, disheartened and obviously, you know, Scott Parker sacking. I just think they're the fixture to target for me. And Wolves have got Southampton, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what that new guy's name is, that new centre-back from Southampton. But when I watch the United game, trust me, that guy he's another like Van Dijk in the making almost. I think he was, you know, defensively he was absolutely solid. Anyway, I'm not going to talk you out of any moves. You just do what, you know, you want to do. I personally would have preferred you swapped. Oh, mate. I think that's probably us locked now, right? Yeah, we're locked. So that's the team. That is the team. Decided against the -4. Did you get so you put Nico in for Neto, right? Tanoki, last second. Yeah. Well, fingers crossed it swings the right way. Yeah, so let's hope JWP blanks because I've gone against it. And let's hope that Nico absolutely smashes it versus Neto, yeah? So anybody that's obviously tuned in to this point, good luck captaining Haaland over Salah. Good luck captaining Salah over Haaland. It is probably, you know, one of the biggest decisions again, or coin flips of this week. But I'm very, very happy with that team still. I think, you know, we are definitely leaning more. I'm backing myself 100% into a Game Week 9 wildcard. But yeah, definitely good luck for this week, guys. I think there's potentially another green arrow coming here, but who knows? Essentially, with Tanoki's help, I've talked myself and he's talked me out of a -4, which I'm happy about. Yeah, I think Forest clean sheet. Well, look, that's the thing. If Forest keep a clean sheet, if we just talk again about an isolated pick of Neto, do you think Neto's going to get an attack in return? He looked quite good against Bournemouth, but look how much he wasted. That, you know, they should have scored against Bournemouth, right? So I don't know. I think if he can't do it against arguably the easiest fixture on paper, what's making him do it against Southampton? Tenoki, okay, yeah, thanks. Right, let's just quickly update. The screen. What did we have in the bank in the end? We'll need to have a look. 0.6. .6 in the bank. Still offers a bit of flexibility, I guess, doesn't it, really? I could have gone as... I mean, Sterling also was a consideration, by the way. I could have gone Rodrigo to Sterling and then Saka down to Ward-Prowse, or Saka down to a different... It would have meant, obviously, not getting Isak in, and I would have gone with 2 midfielders instead. But I just wasn't sure about Chelsea's fixtures until the wild card. I think I'll get Sterling on a wild card. Next week, considering downgrading Robertson and upgrading Neto. I think that's a good move. Neto, he's fallen in price now. What is he, 5.2? I can't check, can I? Because the game's updating. But yeah, I think it makes sense. Robbo, I think personally he's going to be a rotation risk over the next few weeks. Tsimikas isn't a bad player to play as kind of second fiddle to him. So I think, to be honest, I'm definitely in camp sell for Robertson. I mean, I sold him for Reece James, and then I've sold Reece James. So I've made a lot of defensive moves in the past few weeks, but it's allowed me to upgrade, you know, like to gross ultimately. Yeah, 0.3 is such a major swing, mate. It really is. Like I think I sold him at 5.4, so I missed the price drop and the price rise, I think, for gross. So I ended up a kind of 0.2 right difference from a late transfer. It hasn't made too much difference to the value of the squad though overall, but I just think now's the time to get rid of him. Isak or Mitrovic for long term. Trishul, I suppose. I mean, on that question, are you looking at a wild card, or have you already wild carded? Because I think both of them are very good long term. To be honest, I'm going to say Mitro's the more proven option, but I like the look of Isak, which is why I've gone him. I'm going to sit on the fence on that question. Sorry. Thoughts on Isak? Yeah, Simon just mentioned. I like him. I think there's a little bit of concern without ASM because of his creativity. While he's injured, then Newcastle, where is it coming from? But Fraser's not exactly, you know, the worst player in the world. He's got a decent pass on him. Almiron, I suppose, is quite good as well. And I think Eddie Howe knows how to get the best out of Fraser, right? Worked with him at Bournemouth for a long time. So I think he could provide quite a lot. And I liked Isak against Liverpool. I just think he showcased enough to prove it. If you haven't wildcarded yet, then my personal view is Isak for the next few fixtures, because you can easily swap him into Mitrovic if you did or you didn't want to wildcard in Game Week 9. But then I think Mitrovic's fixtures are better. Tanoki, my moves were all playing around with one midfield position. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Bailey, Takei, and all of those, they've not benefited, right, in the right time, but I think you've landed on the best option in gross now. And exactly, that's the thing. last season I said that it was probably going to be the year of swapping out premiums here, there, and getting onto the premiums in the right way. We've not had to move Salah or Haaland on, have we? If you were a Kane owner at the beginning, then maybe you considered moving him for Haaland straight away. But we've had to make really kind of quite minimal decisions. And what's my opinion on Gibbs White? I think he's a good player. I just don't think from an FPL perspective he's shown enough yet. I think with Forest as a team, let's just talk about them as an overall first of all, and then maybe more specifically Gibbs White. Forest's fixtures look really good. Against Bournemouth at home, I can see them doing damage. He seems to be nailed in terms of that Forest option. My only concern is that he just hasn't shown enough to prove that, from an FPL perspective, that he should warrant a midfield slot. So I'm on the fence with him again. I would just say wait until maybe this Bournemouth fixture gets out of the way and see how we feel. Tanoki, exactly, mate. That's the thing. It's FPL. We've got to separate football decision versus FPL decision. I like the look of him from a football perspective at the moment. And I think Gross over Zaha. Even though Gross is not on penalties like we expect, I think Zaha's fixtures aren't as good as Gross's. So that's what FPL mate put in Gibbs White, so I wanted another opinion. Well, I think Dan's got some great great decisions in him. I mean, he finished 250th, just under, in the world last season. So he's a great content creator, and I do rate his decision making. So absolutely wouldn't go against the grain with him, but I just don't think from an FPL perspective he warrants it. So okay, I swapped before the price change, so best move by far. Yeah, see, Kane owner, instant swap. Perfect. Well done for that. A lot of people... So FPL mate is one of those that's held Kane throughout, right? He's not got onto the Haaland bandwagon. I think he's like 4 millionth in the world this season, right? He's nowhere near as good as he was last year. But again, it just goes back to variance. Yeah, and volatile prices seems to happen every season at the beginning. And I think that's because there's so much more engagement in FPL in the first few months. I would say once you get past the World Cup and like when people start feeling, disheartened by their rank or a couple of injuries, or they start having to take minuses, they become disengaged, which means that we don't see as many price rises and falls. I've seen this trend over the past few seasons. I've never really spoken about it, I guess, in a video as such, but my feeling is that, or at least from experience, team value is built up at least in the first half or predominantly in the first half of the season. Post-December, you just get people completely disengaged with the game. But I do agree it makes it more fun. And that's exactly my thinking as well, Tanoki. I kind of... That perfect balance is really hard to find. And for me as well, as a content creator, like I want to be able to showcase what I'm doing, either live or, a day before or something like that. So, the Neto versus Gross thing, that's what made me do the Robertson move, actually, because I needed to free up the money to be able to get rid of Neto. And that 0.2 swing made a difference, but I wanted to talk about it on stream, so I didn't make the move. He's 2.9 mil globally. Okay, I mean, it's easily changed after a wild card. That's probably the biggest time that you'll see a rank increase. But again, I think Gibbs White is a good player. I just don't think from an FPL perspective that he's a pick for me. It's definitely punt territory, but then so's Isak, so would Ward-Prowse if I went him, for example. Sometimes we just got to... Even a Stupinan last week was definitely in the punt territory. I really like him as a pick moving forward, by the way, but just... he was in my watch list. Nobody knew that he was going to win a penalty, though. Nobody's got a crystal ball in FPL, so... The crazy part is my Game Week 1 team kind of spicy and would have paid off a little. Oh, nice. You actually had JWP. I think Tony is a good option still. He just, at the moment, he's just not hitting for any form, is he? He kind of worried me a little bit after seeing a couple of early wildcards with him because the fixtures look great for Brentford, but he's just not hit the ground running as much. You don't agree with some of his decisions. Well, I mean, I guess, you've come to a different content creator for a different point of view, right? That's why we're here. I don't necessarily think that not every decision is going to be correct. No FPL player, let alone content creator, can sit here and say that stuff. It's just impossible. Like, there is an element of luck. Again, for me, like, my personal outlook on creating content is helping you and assisting you with the decision making. So if Dan's gone and put Gibbs White in without any backup with statistics, then, me personally, I wouldn't have done it. But if he's showcased, look, these are the thought process, this is why I'm doing it, fixtures, I think, value, all of that stuff. If he's giving you the reasons, then, go for it. Martinelli over Saka. I think Martinelli definitely over Saka. I actually, look, my team, this is one of the mistakes that I completely owned at the beginning of this game. I decided to go with 2 8 million midfielders. I looked at the pool of those midfielders and said, I think personally that we've got a lot of good things coming from the likes of Saka, the likes of Mason Mount. It just never happened. Martinelli, players like Rodrigo, Gross, all these mid-price midfielders seem to outscore the higher priced ones, right? Nobody foresee that. Otherwise, the template would have been Gross, Martinelli, right? So Tanoki, I think, to be honest, mate, every season is different. Like I've said, this season, we're now in game week 6 and I haven't taken a hit. In previous seasons, I know I can't showcase all the obviously the previous things that I've done. But when I was playing casually, I was just doing -8s and 12s and whatever, right? Because I just didn't really understand the game. So the first 2 years of my rank is kind of irrelevant. When I started taking the game seriously and got into the top 100k, I actually took quite a few hits, but they were calculated hits. This season, I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to calculate my decisions differently. So every season's different. Just as long as you're enjoying it, that's what this game's about. I know I create content. I don't do it for a living. It's a pure hobby of mine. I've got a full-time job. I create around it. It's just, I don't know. I think as long as you enjoy the game, that's what it comes down to, mate. You benched De Silva and kept on Perisic and Trippier. Your opinions? I think Perisic maybe doesn't get this game anyway against Fulham. We'll see. If he doesn't get the game against him, then you're getting De Silva come on. But I think Perisic and Trippier are better options than De Silva, so I like the logic of that pick. Tanoki, and that's the thing, right? Again, it's just... It's one of those situations, if you're in mini leagues that just, you have some fun with your pals, you might be in some work leagues, could be, just whatever it is. If you as long as you enjoy the game, that's what it comes down to for me. I don't let it take over, right? Like that's the thing. Like I say, I've decided to create content this season because I really enjoy the game. And with a young family, it's pretty much kind of the only thing I can do around having them, right? So it's that's what it's about for me. De Silva as a player to start, moving on. The 7 points of the first are statistical outliners. Yeah, I mean, potentially. What are their fixtures like, though? My view, definitely, though, is that Perisic and Trippier as an isolated thing this week is better. Tony or Mitrovic long term. Mitro, I think. Mitro wins it for me. So I don't think, again, can I... Oh, no, okay. Let's have a look at... I can definitely get the fixtures up on Scout, though. What are Brentford's like? Leeds, Southampton, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Brighton. So that's 5 game weeks there. Fulham's... See, Fulham from game week 8, that's where I'd say Mitro is better. So it's difficult to say long term because when Fulham play Forest, Brentford play Arsenal, which we know it was a good fixture for them before. Tony could still do damage, but I like Mitrovic's Mitrovic long term, I think. If you look at game week 8 to 14, Fulham have got basically no top 6 side, barring if you consider West Ham a potential top 6 team. I mean, Newcastle might make that grade now, right, instead. So they play Newcastle in game week 9, potentially difficult. West Ham, Bournemouth, Villa, Leeds, Everton. This is why, for me, I feel like he's an absolute must-own in a wildcard, Mitrovic. Yeah, definitely. And do you know what? This is another reason why I was kind of happy for Isak to come in, because even if I don't wildcard, it's a very easy move to Mitrovic in a couple of weeks. So I don't mind that. I don't mind. I know at the beginning of the season, I don't like banking or booking in transfers. It's never a good strategy, but planning towards it is never harmful, right? So I think it's the possibilities rather than saying I'm going to do it. That's the kind of psychological decision-making process that I make. So I'm happy that I've got now that price point covered rather than a 4.5 fodder striker. So that was the Isak thinking as well. Jesus or Mitro, I still think Jesus, mate, is going to be... I don't think you swap them. I think you find a way to keep Jesus and bring in Mitrovic from a different striker. Yeah, I think Tanoki, Matt, I don't know if we're just... I don't know, on this kind of weird... same level of thinking, but pretty much everything I'm saying that you've typed. I think as well it's interesting because Jesus, you can't really, that question cannot be, in my opinion, an isolated question, because Jesus' ownership is scary, right? If you get rid of him, if he hauls, you're losing 500k rank, mate. And it depends what you're playing for. If you like a punt and you like the risks, go for it. If you're playing to get as high rank as possible, unfortunately, ownership and effective ownership does take its toll on overall rank. So you need to bear in mind that not owning Jesus would be very damaging, I think. I've got fast fingies, yeah. Right, okay. Ladies and gents, again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to wrap it up there. I think we've had a sort of 20-minute chinwag, really, post deadline. So again, thank you very much for watching all the content and supporting it. Again, apologies I didn't put a team selection video out. I know some people do prefer those videos to the others, but ultimately it's just come down to time this week. Fast turnaround for me. And like I say, I do this as a hobby, really. So hope you enjoyed the content as always. Good luck for this week. I'll be back next week, of course, again for the next deadline, putting out some more watch list content and other great stuff for you guys to consume. So enjoy it. Good luck again. And yeah, if you haven't followed me already on Twitter, please do so. I tweet during the games, usually just from sort of reactions to what's happening and so on. So if you fancy that, please follow me over there. And yeah, enjoy the game week, guys. And I'll see you in the next video. All right, take it easy.